moves on from where it is right now. He mentioned that even though we're facing challenges, he's put out alongside his colleagues, the ministers and so on, the federal government have put out certain measures in place to ensure that the economy is revived as soon as possible. And that forms the basis of our conversation today, reviving the Nigerian economy. What are measures that should be taken, that must be taken? What are steps to ensure that these policies put out by this administration reap some benefits? Because, I mean, in the past 5 months, things have not necessarily gone the way a lot of people envisioned. And they're hoping that there is no further downward trajectory. And in good time, according to what the president said, it being a temporary hardship, things will begin to pick up. I mean, we see that the dollar is not even smiling right now. It's at over 1,200 naira to a dollar, and we know how that affects the price of everything: transportation, rent, and seeing that salaries of a lot of people are not even being increased. We see that the inflation is also going off the roof. At September was at over 26%. So that worry and what the country is doing, what steps, what measures, how are we planning to diversify? The former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, has stated that it's important that Nigeria doesn't just focus on oil, but non-oil options as well, to ensure that we are able to make any changes as soon as possible. My guest this morning is Nsukka Fine Face, and together we'll get into the conversation right now. I'd like to get you started with knowing how your week has been.
Yeah, it's been not so much usual. It's been fine. Yeah.
Good to know.
And I trust yours has been good as well.
I would say yes.
Well, I think I'm beginning to see like a new price of fuel. I'm seeing 630, I'm seeing 625 and all that. So I'm just wondering, it's beginning to feel like before the end of the month, we may just hit 700. In fact, there were reports yesterday that in some northern states, fuel is being sold for 700 already. So I think it's actually, it's sad because sometime, I think 2 weeks back, we heard reports that the government was still paying for subsidy. You know, unconfirmed reports though. But then,
I mean, it came out and said that that's not happening. Even though Ipman said they were still paying subsidy to ensure that the prices don't go over the roof. But
so I'm just wondering. I mean, you're still paying for subsidy, and then Nigerians are still having to buy fuel at this particular amount. I think it's time for government to actually begin to think. You know, consider Nigerians, consider the poor Nigerians, because I mean we have jobless people that not because they want to be jobless, but because jobs have not been provided. So I think there's a whole lot that we need to put in place. But considering from May 29 till now, I think it's been months now. And
is it enough time to start grading the government? Because they've constantly complained about the fact that what they met was a bit overwhelming, you know, and it's why it's taking a longer time for things to pick up.
I think it's enough time from May till now. This is October. I mean, you're talking about some months now. I think it's look, before you go into office, you should have had a plan, and you should have had a way of executing your plan. You know, so I think by now they should have had an idea. But like I've always said on this platform, I think the removal of fuel subsidy was done in a rush without having a proper plan. Okay, they spoke about palliatives. How many Nigerians have actually received palliatives as well? I've not seen it. I mean, I'm a Nigerian. You're a Nigerian. I've not seen anything like that. Okay, you talk about palliatives for workers and all that. I mean, I know a lot of workers that have not received anything. So I feel like the removal of fuel subsidy, they were too quick about it, because it looks like people didn't think certain things through. Because Nigerians are now battling. I mean, how much is fuel today? How many Nigerians can actually afford to get a full tank, you know, fuel at this time? So there's work to be done, you know, beyond these things. I mean, I listened to Mr. President's speech. I mean, it sounds well, it sounds nice, but we've been here before. I remember in 2015, he himself spoke on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, and he spoke about student loans. We didn't see nothing. So how do you now expect that Nigerian students are going to believe you this time?
No, but speaking about the student loan, he's come out to state that from January 2024, the loans would be accessible to those who really need them. And the excuse for it not being ready right now, based on investigations, revealed that the responsible government ministries and agencies were yet to establish necessary procedures for the smooth implementation of this scheme as mandated by law. So, I mean, they won't be able to disburse these loans to students until these plans are finalized by the government, and that could be the holdback.
But the question is, how are you getting funding for these loans? By borrowing as well. So everything around us is just centered around borrowing. Remember, I think from when the president took over, we had this major issue of about $800 million that was borrowed from the World Bank to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy. So what level, I mean, how well have you actually put this money to use? How about the monies you say you're saving from the removal of fuel subsidy? Where is it? So are you still borrowing to pay student loans as well? So I think the major problem is that we borrow a whole lot.
So now here's a question for you. Is the issue with borrowing or the funds not being judiciously used to achieve an aim?
It's both. I think at this time, as a major oil producing nation, we shouldn't totally depend on borrowing. I mean, look at other countries. For instance, I spoke about Dubai here the last time, and one of the callers said, no, you can't compare. Dubai is small. But then, and I said, bring the people in Dubai to Nigeria, take Nigerians back there. I'm sorry, with due respect, you may see that Dubai may collapse and Nigeria will rise up. Why? Because it's about our mindset. We cannot keep on borrowing. We borrow to pay salaries. Now we are talking about student loans. How are you going to raise the funds if you are unable to generate revenue as a nation? And then you just depend on borrowing. I mean, look at $800 million that we they said it was to cushion the impact of the removal. But where is it? How many Nigerians have actually benefited? So I think it's necessary we tell ourselves the truth. At this time, Nigerians need clarity. We need to know, look, if you're not sure of how you're going to get funds for student loans, because Nigerian students have been surviving all this while. Yeah, some parents have to work so hard to ensure that they send their children to school. So if you're not actually sure of how you're going to play around this, I think it's necessary, we just move away from that and think of how to fix things up first before we begin to focus on some of these issues. Because, some APC members would say there's no country that doesn't borrow. Perfect, but they don't borrow to pay salaries.
All right, we're talking about reviving the Nigerian economy, and Nsukka has gone on to mention a couple of challenges that we are facing right now, and alleviating the people from poverty is one of the aims of the government at this point in time. We see how many Nigerians have been plunged into poverty. Their take home every month cannot even help them survive throughout the month. They have to take loans to be able to make ends meet. But the federal government has also set up a $5 million annual poverty alleviation trust fund. And the president chaired the weekly FEC meeting and communicated the approval to the cabinet members present at the State House. Now, what this loan is meant to do is a flexible form of financing supposed to help Nigeria adequately respond to humanitarian crises and challenges, as well as adequately address the issue of poverty in Nigeria. Now, we also know that about 15 million households have been earmarked to benefit 25,000 naira monthly for 3 months, which would amount to 75,000 naira. And that would, in that timeline, be able to cushion the impact or the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy. We also see that Nigeria is expected to get $10 billion of forex inflows in weeks. That's according to the Minister of Finance and Coordination of the Economy. Now, he stated that around 10 billion of forex inflows is expected within weeks than months, in a bid to ensure that the rate of the dollar drops, because right now it's at over 1,200 and climbing. And the concern is it's getting worse than anticipated, and a lot needs to be done at this point in time. Now, Wale Edun stated during the NES as well, and answered various questions about stabilizing the foreign exchange market and enshrining liquidity in the market. Now, measures to ensure that, he announced that the president has taken measures to ease that illiquidity in the forex market, which we know is very problematic at this point in time. And since the unification of the foreign exchange market in June, the naira value has slumped by over 100% on the parallel market, and the currency bear management has introduced various measures here and there to provide liquidity, but we don't seem to be seeing any difference in that. Of course, before some of these things pick up, it takes a while and patience. But how much patience does the average Nigerian have? We want to see results because promises were made. And when you make promises, it's important that you deliver on those promises.
Yeah, promises were made, not just made promises, but very huge promises. But like you said, I mean, it's okay to set up a trust fund and all that. But I mean, you remember the end power as well. It was aimed at creating jobs for, I mean, graduates and all that. But how many Nigerians benefited?
But which it did, right? But the concern with the end power was the fact that salaries were owed. And, you know, it was paused by the minister to allow for investigations, which would allow for a need. Which would allow rather for the need to evaluate how beneficial that particular project has been, and the promise to bring it back and to ensure that all those who have been owed in the past few months get paid.
But now, how do you explain something that was set up to help people that were jobless and then they ended up owing them? It means the strategy sounded nice on paper, it sounded nice on the news, but it wasn't properly executed, and that's the major problem we have in Nigeria today. They come out with certain scheme. It sounds nice. You hear it, 2 million homes will be visited. Who are these people? If you check the records now, they'll say the $800 million that was borrowed, they were able to share it to maybe 100 homes, for instance. Who are these people? Until we begin to look, transparency. I think lack of transparency is one of the major problems we face as a nation. It's fine, you're setting up a trust fund. It's okay, just like the end power. But how were people even taken into end power? I mean, some Nigerians basically had no idea about it. And some who even had interest couldn't benefit from it. So until we begin to carry every Nigerian along, why? Because the people feeling the effect of this, they are Nigerians. But then you can't, favor some people, and then some people are left out. So every Nigerian has to be carried along. If you say you're going to set up a trust fund for maybe 5 million homes and all that, let us know. Every Nigerian should benefit.
All right, we need to go on a break right now. We're talking about reviving the economy, and you can join the conversation right now on YouTube and Facebook at Nigeria Info Abuja.
Talk.
This time when my belly.
Audio Jungle.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I do it every morning on Morning Crossfire from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Nigeria Info 95.1, and I'm Femi D. Amede. Join the biggest conversation around the national politics every day in a way that is trustworthy, full of passion, and yes, covers the biggest politics and the stories that matter to you. See, you have all the reasons to find out what's going on in Nigeria and be engaged differently. Let's talk. That's the way to go, even this morning.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 This is Nigeria Info.
So what are measures that must be taken for us to see that in our economy with Sarah the place. I mean, I mentioned that it's all for the average civil servant to be able to afford a house, and that is what pushes some people to corruption because they need to make or live a certain kind of lifestyle. And Sikak Fine Face is still here. I'm going to give you a chance to share your thoughts. 0700 951 0000 0809597489. What are measures or steps the government needs to take or tweaks it needs to put into the various policies put in place to see or make any difference at all? On WhatsApp, it is 08099930137. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
What's your name, please?
From Amali.
All right, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you. For what the minister has said pertaining the mineral, whatever, that they are the people that causes insecurity. So my question is this: then the federal government allowed this? They are using all this insecurity to pursue us out of our ancestral land. With the lands that it's very vital. I am telling you, our lands are very vital. So now they are using this insecurity to do away with everybody in those lands. My question to you, Ma, why is it that these people have been captured? There's no execution. There's no punishment. They are attached. They allow them day in, day out, every day, to complete 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years.
All right, Ambassador.
Nothing changed. Everybody is out of that community.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Are you there?
Hello?
Can you move away from your device so we can hear you clearly?
Hello?
All right, sorry, I have to let you go. When you call in, please move away from your device to avoid getting that feedback. Welcome.
Good morning once again, Itodo.
Good morning.
From Google, I greet you. Yes. Economy. What is economy? Economy basically is about the welfare and well-being, general happiness of the people. You can't be experimenting economy with bad policy. Bad policies that keep impoverishing people, plunging millions of people into abject poverty indices. And you say you are buying time. People should endure. When people are in extreme hardship, economy should be about laying the foundation of prosperity for generality of people.
All right.
If you want to stimulate the economy, you must make energy affordable. Energy drive commerce, trade, investment, manufacturing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Student.
Welcome. What's your name?
Good morning, my brother in the studio. Is he still in the studio?
Yes, he is.
I would have loved him to be around. Yes. You see, when we talk about this economy...
What's your name, sir?
My name is Alex Postin, calling from Matama.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying this is that this economy is it only in Nigeria presently now, because all of us used to listen to BBC and watch CNN always. Is it only this digit of inflation? Have we kept the digit of inflation in Europe and America? Let's forget about removing subsidy or no subsidy. The issue is that when you people want to bring people that does not have party affiliation.
Felix, I asked a question earlier. The question is, what are measures the government should take to revive the economy? This has got nothing to do with party affiliation, because everybody, regardless of your party affiliation, is going through the same thing.
Very much. Let me answer. The measure that we should do to revive the economy back is to fight corruption to a standstill. Sack these present-day judges that when somebody steals food for hunger, you don't hear technicality. Then human beings that steal money, all this Boko Haram that is stealing people, kill people like what corrupt people are doing. So somebody like me that come from Niger Delta, why I supported Goodluck Jonathan was because of to fight corruption to a standstill, send these people to hell and jail.
All right, Felix, thank you for your thoughts.
Taking hand with them.
All right, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome, what's your name?
This is Ali from this Alhaji.
All right, go ahead. You have 60 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you for the good work you are doing.
In my case, I think the governor of Central Bank got it wrong, Itodo, by delisting all those programs the former administration has put in place. How do we expect economy to grow when we are importing everything? Rice, for example, the country has made a very landslide in rice production, even though it is costlier, but at least it is homegrown. But by the time you import rice, we are exporting our labor, and how it's weakening the naira the more. So I think the federal government should rethink to bring back how to grow economy and how to let us get that issue that was made in Nigerian goods from fabric to what we eat to what we produce to motor cars and everything.
All right.
There is no how the country can make it can get it right, because Naira will continue to be sliding against dollar as long as we are importing everything. It pains most of us when we had a rice that is being produced in Nigeria is now to be we use hard-earned money to go and buy it to the country.
All right, thank you very much.
It's a very bad policy. I mean, policies about something in that respect.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts right there. Let's get back to you and Sikak Fine Face right now and talk about some of the measures that must be taken to, fight these challenges that the economy is currently facing and revive it to where it needs to be.
I think in as much as we preach against the total dependency on oil, oil is still basically the only major thing we're exporting as at now. So I think what we need to do now, there should be a proper auditing of the NNPC, because it looks like a whole lot is going on there that may be shredded in secrecy that Nigerians are basically not aware. Because if oil is a major source of revenue and all that, I think it's necessary we do it well. We can't be selling oil and then, things are now basically working. I mean, look at certain countries. They are using the proceeds from the sale of oil to fix the nation. So I think in as much as we've been preaching for years now, against them, we shouldn't totally depend on oil and all that. Okay, agriculture and all that. What exactly are we manufacturing as a nation? What exactly are we selling apart from oil as a nation? Okay, yeah, there's gold in Zamfara, but then what's really happening there?
How do we effectively diversify? Because that seems to be an issue. I mean, we've spoken about agriculture and how much change it would make if a lot more people made to invest, and if private sector partnership is looked into critically to ensure that there's a balance on agreement and a timeline, as well as goals that will be achieved within that timeline. So it gives room for reviews and changes that need to be made. How can we effectively achieve this beyond word of mouth?
I think one of the major ways is, first of all, by assembling a team of people who are really serious about, diversifying, moving away from oil, not just saying it, because we've been saying it for years now, and it's been the same thing. I mean, a country blessed, look at agriculture, for instance. I mean, we could export food produce to nations of the world, but look at where we are. So it's about our mindset, first of all. What's the caliber of people going into government? Who are the people appointed? What are they willing to go in and do the job, or they are just going there, for the sake of maybe personal interest? I feel, with due respect, that some of the people we have today are basically all concerned about their personal interest, not about moving Nigeria forward, for instance.
Well, that is your opinion.
Yes, that's what I feel.
I mean, half the time when people are working towards achieving a goal, the bad options outweigh the good options.
Yeah.
So you would dwell on the bad and not the progress being made.
Of course.
But let's take this thought right here. It says, I think one of Nigeria's fundamental problems is dealing with the greed of the people. A government policy comes on board and the way people react to it is always misplaced. It's the reason why you don't know becomes very difficult only on daily basis, because the greed of the people, rent seekers hoping to profit from everything that's going on around them, is immense. To pick someone's I'm trying to make sense of this. The naira is going down, dollar is going up, and up next in the job, it's a raise for rent, demand for higher pay, or increase in cost of a product selling. And that's the cause of the artificial inflation that makes life unbearable for people. And we have to find a way to call this or put this in order. While this one says, as a patient, if a doctor is administering drugs on you without improvements, what do? You will complain. And if he doesn't change the drugs, you leave him. Our economic policies need to be overhauled or we continue to sink. The guest is on point. this government might be experimenting with this economy. These are people that spoke about previous administration and see where things are going right now. Let professionals run our economy is what Mr. Waf is saying. Let's get your closing thoughts in Sikak because we need to go on a break and we have a guest coming through. So let's get your closing thoughts on measures and how to effect these measures.
Yeah, one of the callers spoke about exactly what we are manufacturing as a nation. I mean, we have some businesses, some businessmen that are trying to thrive. If governments can actually support some of these people, I believe they will be able to maybe, for instance, now we have Innocent Motors, we have Nord as well. Why can't government invest in these people? Because, I mean, I've seen reports of Innocent supplying cars to government of Sierra Leone and other countries in Africa. So why don't you boost their production? So you also can actually get a percentage from their sales and all that. I mean, this would also
public-private partnership.
Yes. So So by doing this, I mean, we have what we are manufacturing and we have, products that are being sold to nations. So government should also look into, such avenues like this, boosting some of these Nigerian-owned companies to help them. And then, like I said before, we are still depending on oil. We will still depend on oil. So why not fix it? Do things. Let things be done the right way. If Nigerians are to benefit from oil, because the oil belongs to Nigerians, first of all, then let's do it the right way. So like I said, there needs to be a proper auditing of what's happening inside the NNPC so that we can all enjoy together.
All right, Nsikek Fine Face, thank you so much for coming through today. He's a public affairs analyst. And wrapping up this conversation, Drizzy Flex on Facebook says, for our country to thrive, measures must be put in place to kickstart massive productions across all sectors. And that's what you're saying. And this one right here from Banky. Economic is not an overnight thing. It took America 10 years to recover from the Great Depression. There is no option to loans if there is no available money to solve the problems. That's what you are sharing this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. You can keep it going on our YouTube and Facebook pages right now at Nigeria Info Abuja. And thank you, Nsikak, again for coming through. We hope to have you back again as soon as possible. Stay tuned to Nigeria Info 95.1 Abuja.
This is Nigeria Info.